Entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Tuesday, June 22nd. I'm Jeff here with my friends Stephanie and Erica. How we feeling? Looking good,
she
ladies.
Looks
you look
fabulous.
Thank you, as do y'all.
Look at the hair.
I don't know. Y'all been on this natural hair journey with me. So I finally found a stylist who I go to regularly in Denver. It has been a journey, but she has been helping me figure out what to do with my hair. So we did a dry twist out. Yes.
Is that why the curls look to me like bigger and fuller?
It's bigger and fluffier. Normally it's my natural hair texture. This is like more of a constructed hair texture.
I love it.
You guys both look beautiful. All right, guys. For the first time in history, an active NFL player has come out as gay. Las Vegas, I'm still getting used to that. Las Vegas defensive lineman, they used to be the Raiders of, never mind. Carl Nazib posted a video on Instagram telling the world his truth. Let's take a look.
Just want to take a quick moment to say that I'm gay. I've been meaning to do this for a while now, but I finally feel comfortable enough to get it off my chest. I really have the best life. I got the best family, friends, and job a guy could ask for. I'm a pretty private person, so I hope you guys know that I'm really not doing this for attention. I just think that representation and visibility are so important. I actually hope that like one day videos like this and the whole coming out process are just not necessary. But until then, you know, I'm going to do my best and do my part to cultivate a culture that's accepting, that's compassionate.
Carr also said that he's donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project, which is a crisis intervention and suicide prevention service for the LGBTQ youth. This is great. Knock on wood if you're with me. Nobody got that joke. Chris, did you get that joke out there?
Wood.
It's a Hard Knocks joke. He was on Hard Knocks a couple years ago. The Los Angeles Raiders were before they turned, and it is a good one. Tori in the back wants to be on the show, but she's not.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders, yeah. But the coach used to do it all the time. Anyways, I love what Carl's doing. He was great on the show, and I think it's great what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I was smiling the entire time watching it the first time, the second time, and even now. You know, I thought it was so important that he speak his truth, but also put it into context. I love the fact that he started off with his first, last name, and where he was from, just like as if we were seeing the starting lineup. I thought that was a nice play on that. I don't know if other people caught that. I actually didn't catch that. My husband caught it. But then when he talked about, you know, he hopes in the future you don't have to make a declaration of, you know, who you are to the world. I mean, it's just so important. And I think when we're really having these conversations, especially when we're talking about sports, that the masculinity aspect of it, that's where this all derives from. What does it mean to be a man? And men come in so many shapes, sizes, sexual orientations, race, creed, colors. There should not be an idea of a standard, especially when it comes to someone who's in the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm just super proud of him. And I know that he's opening up so many doors for so many people.
Absolutely. I think he handled that with such decorum, with grace, with the way he said it, you could see how much he was also like smiling when he was doing it, like it was like a weight off his shoulders. And like he said, I'm so grateful that he has such an amazing, he said, family and friends. The support system around him is obviously great to make him feel as though also that he can take that step and be so open and public, because you've got to look, people like Lil Nas X, even like when he released his country single, saying a black country singer at that time coming out as being in the LGBTQ plus community, that was a huge deal. Then we see someone like this who comes from a sporting community, like Erica said, that's typically known to be like super masculine and like, that was me meant to be masculine. And then we see also like Harry Styles as well, who's so gender fluid and open with his sexuality and like dating men, women, and just being himself. I think it's so important that we see these very pivotal characters from all walks of life, whether it's sport or music, and yeah, so people can relate and be more open.
Yeah, yeah. And Carl, he was a great personality on Hard Knocks, which nobody watched in here, but it's a great show. It shows you like the preseason of the NFL, so that's all, no one cares about that. What I did like what he said was, I hope I don't have to do these videos in the future. If someone's sexuality is to them, it is what it is, they don't need to come out and say anything. I hope it all just gets normalized and we can just all move on with our lives happy. All right. Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson have broken up again. According to Page Six, Khloe and Tristan split a few weeks ago, but there is apparently no drama. Oh, is that right? I have a feeling we're going to be doing a story on them later in the week. They're getting along and are on the same page with co-parenting their 3-year-old daughter, True. The site said they broke up after shortly after Instagram model Sydney Chase claimed she had an affair with Tristan back in the fall. Do you think this is it? Is this the period on their relationship, or are they coming back? Or is it dot,
Look at Erica's face.
They're coming back.
I don't care.
You're over it. You're over it.
I don't care. I think, you know, it was interesting when Khloe was asked about the whole Tristan or Jordan thing during the reunion for the Kardashians. And she said that, you know, if she accepted Tristan and gave him forgiveness, she needs to do the same for Jordan, which I think at this point is a very moot point because that's Jordan's thriving and on her own thing. But at the end of the day, if you're going to have a relationship where things are going to be so without boundaries, like this situation has been, at least on Tristan's end, then if that's okay with you, I think it's just time for us just to be who we are and be like, you know what? This actually isn't a deal breaker for me. Like, as opposed to everyone talking about, you know, all the speculation, just say what it is. It's not a deal breaker. I like this part of our relationship. this isn't something that's going to end us. I mean, they're going to continue to be in good, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're going to be together because they're co-parenting.
Absolutely, and I think Khloe is a wonderful example of that, and the entire Kardashian family, to be honest. So when we look at how Khloe dealt with everything with Lamar Odom, her previous partner, and I think she handled that incredibly well. She continued to be a support system. She continued, and he had lots of demons that he was facing, and she stuck by him and supported him, whether they were together or separate. And I think that she will also continue to be a very positive role model for him to their baby daughter True, because I think I really like Khloe, and I think she speaks a lot of truth, and she's very open, and I think that, you know, moving forwards, she's gonna be fine with or without him. She doesn't need Tristan, but I think she'll always be very polite. And look at Kim when it was Father's Day, doing beautiful posts about Kanye, and when it was his birthday. I think it's like the modern age of parenting.
Yeah, absolutely, and co-parenting when you have a child, especially.
Absolutely, and I think they're doing it really well.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Steven Spielberg is coming to Netflix. His production company just signed a multi-year deal with Netflix. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of money too, to develop feature films. Spielberg has been critical of the streaming services in the past and even said films shown on the streaming service are just, quote, TV movies. Netflix hasn't said how long the deal would last or if he will direct any of the films. So I'm excited about this. This is where I think everything's going, to these streaming services. Even though they got knocked in the past, Spielberg's on board. I think just more are to come. Do you have any favorite Spielberg movies of yours?
Okay, I love everything he's done. So it was really hard because...
What's it called?
What?
Oh, I thought you said the name of a movie. I'm like, what movie is that?
I love everything he's done. I mean, there's
I
been some amazing ones. It was really hard to pick, but Minority Report I thought was epic.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I thought Tom Cruise did a great job. I loved that when it came out. The only thing I don't like that he's done, I'm not into Jurassic Park, particularly. I'm not into dinosaurs. I know everyone's like obsessed, but particularly Lost World. I just think the sequel was terrible.
Is that the one where the girl does gymnastics and kicks the dinosaur in the face
sequel.
with Vince Vaughn?
I don't even know.
So you
hate
hate it so much you don't even care to figure out who's in there.
No.
All right, Erica, do you have a best and worst?
It's got to be Color Purple.
I didn't even know he directed that.
Okay, this is so Steven Spielberg adapted the book Color Purple, but at the time he didn't want anyone to know that he was making a film adaptation. So they named it another, like, Wind Song or something. And Oprah talks about this because this was like her big opportunity to be in a movie, and that was her favorite movie. And Spielberg actually called her when she was on, so basically Quincy Jones came to Chicago, saw Oprah on Chicago AM, was like, she's gonna be in the movie. Then she auditioned for the part, and when she didn't hear back, she ended up going to a weight loss camp in Wisconsin, thinking that's the reason why she wasn't considered for the movie. And when she was there, she's running around the track, and it's raining, and then the lady comes out and says, "Ofri, are you Ofri?" There's a man on the phone, says his name's Spielberg, and so he called her at this weight loss camp and said, "I hear you're at a weight loss camp." And she's like, "If you lose even 1 pound, you could lose this role." So she stopped at the Dairy Queen on her way back home, and then she flew to LA.
That's a deal.
And that's how she got that part.
Wow.
My favorite story in the world.
That is an amazing story.
I mean, it's pivotal.
Yeah.
Color Purple was the representation that was not seen during that day, and it is an absolute classic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are we done? Mine's Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I love that I saw it when we're on a group chat, and I saw when you sent it in, I was like,
it's
what?
amazing. I still love it. I show my kids. Maybe I shouldn't. They're
What about
4 but
Catch Me If You Can?
that's what my second
I was literally torn this morning between the two. I was like, which one do I pick?
He's got so many good ones. I mean,
all of the Indiana Jones.
all the Indiana Jones
people
I
slate. So like with the one with the crystal skull, is it that one that people slate?
You know, real quickly, I was listening to
it.
a weird story on a podcast. I know we got to run, but what's that guy's name? I'm going to ruin it. With the Tom Selleck. Do you know he was supposed to be Indiana Jones and he couldn't get out of Magnum P.I.? They wouldn't let him out of his contract?
Wow, so
That's what I
Harrison
heard.
swooped in?
Don't tell your friends that. I just heard that on the podcast.
Harrison swooped in?
And Harrison got it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But could you see that part without Harrison Ford? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that would be weird.
Nobody cares about Hard Knocks or my stories. Coming up on DBL, former Bachelorette Rachel Lindsay is slamming the fans of the show that made her famous. Why? She calls Bachelor Nation a toxic fandom.
A keystone in U.S. politics since the very beginning has been the battle between state and federal control. So when states like Texas and Florida signed laws banning mask mandates, plane and train riders were left wondering, where do the federal mask mandates on transit start and end? So let's verify. When it comes to conflicting state and federal mask mandates, which do you follow? Our sources are law professor Mark Graber and Walter Olson from the Cato Institute. And they both say that when interstate travel is involved, like on a plane or a train, it's federal regulations that are going to take the top billing.
The Supreme Court has usually ruled that if the federal government has taken over regulation of an area, then it gets to regulate it thoroughly. Now, that's true of many of the transportation areas.
And Graber added via email that regulation extends to channels of interstate travel, meaning things like train stations and airports. So we can verify that federal mask mandates do supersede bans on the state level. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Back to DBL, former Bachelorette Rachel Lindsay is coming down hard on Bachelor Nation. Rachel recently gave an interview with New York Magazine where she blasted the franchise for cultivating a, quote, toxic audience. She went on to say, quote, they have consistently given the audience a product it wants, a Midwestern, Southern, white, blonde, light-eyed Christian. Not all viewers are like that. There is a Bachelor Nation and there is also a Bachelor clan. You got what I'm putting out there. Rachel said that some Bachelor fans turned on her after she interviewed former host Chris Harrison after a controversial contestant. Yeah, Chris is no longer with the show after he defended the contestant for attending an Old South party on the plantation. Let me just sum that up for you. Remember Chris Harrison, what he said to Rachel Lindsay about defending the other contestant on the show? That's what we're talking about right now. But now Rachel Lindsay is firing back at Bachelor Nation because she doesn't like the comments she's getting.
Okay, well, first I want to clarify that she wasn't necessarily firing back at Bachelor Nation. That
sounds like a fire back to me.
The cover of that article is very misleading compared to the content of the article. Oops, I Blew Up the Bachelor is meant to get people's attention for them to read it, but it also, based on clickbait, and we know what that does, makes people villainize her even more. Rachel Lindsay has been made the villain in every scenario for literally just being there. And it is not lost on me or most people who have eyes or pay attention that she was the first black bachelorette and that put her in the line of fire. How fair is that? And on top of that, anytime anything has happened in the past few years, since she's been the bachelorette, she has been the butt of so much scrutiny for simply existing. I had Rachel on my podcast last December. I had a chance to really have a conversation with her. And to me, it was the most heartbreaking thing because I really appreciate who she is as a person. I look up to her in a lot of respects because she is a super educated, beautiful attorney who happened to decide that she was going to have this second chapter in her life this way. And to know that she could do everything right. Do you know how almost near perfect she had to have been to be selected as the first black bachelorette, and that's the way that people treat her just for showing up. It is despicable. And I'm also super irritated at the publication for putting it out there like that.
Yeah, well, the way she fired back, I don't know. But I am going to sympathize with her. I didn't know if I was on a show, Big Brother, and the fandom there is toxic as well. And I want to clarify that. I would say 95% are great fans. I was on the show 12 years ago. People still come up to me and my wife and say, I loved you guys on the show. Can I have a picture or whatever it is? People love us. But there's that 5% that's super loud. 90% of what's written on Twitter is by 10% of their audience. And I'm sure it's no different with Bachelor Nation or Big Brother. Those audience members are the loudest. That's all you hear is the negative things. I'm sure there's plenty of positive things that are said about Rachel Lindsay and people write her that we don't see because we focus on all the negative. It's the same in any fandom, and shame on those viewers for focusing on people like that years after, even when they move on with their careers. I was on 12 years ago and people still write me things that I said 12 years ago. It's like, move on with your life. And same thing with Rachel Lindsay. Move on with your life. What she did a good thing. It's not her fault what happened with Chris Harrison, but the negative comments have to stop and those people have to move on with their life. So I'm on your side with this.
No, I feel for her because I feel like she's trying to move on with her life. She's trying to tell her story, and she chose the New York Magazine, and they chose to do like a clickbait or an open page title that was completely different to her story, her narrative, and everything that they collaborated on. So I mean, it's easy for us to say move on with your life, but then like when people like that, like the magazine, go ahead and spin another story, it puts her right back almost where she first started.
Because nobody wants to hear a story about how great Rachel Lindsay's doing. They want to put that narrative on there so you get the clicks. I could talk about that forever. All right, we'll be right back.
We all know that movement.
Side effect of the COVID pandemic was the dramatic drop in cold and flu cases. Now they are returning, with parents of small children reporting the return of sniffles and coughs. So what should you do? First, if you are concerned about exposure, you should get kids tested for coronavirus. If the test is negative and the symptoms not severe, you can use your usual home remedies. To stop the spread to the rest of the family, don't forget the lessons learned over the last year and a half. That means if your child has a respiratory illness, you may want to bring the masks back out. They'll only be needed for face-to-face contact and for the first few days of symptoms. Also, don't forget about hand washing. Washing hands frequently with soap and water can help stop the spread of many illnesses, not just COVID. The other advice is to get more air circulation. It can be tough to open windows during sweltering summer months, but fans help as well. And while it may also be hard to social distance as a parent, you should still avoid kisses and cuddles during those first few days of symptoms. A healthy parent is a lot more helpful to a sick kiddo. And that's connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. So here's a spicy conversation. How many of you sexted with your partner? There we go. Turns out more and more Americans are turning to sexting or sending sexy texts as a way of expressing intimacy. We came across this article in health.com and thought it was interesting. So it says nearly 70% of Americans over 18 years old admit to sending sexy messages to their love interest. And they had some interesting tips to follow. So you ready? First, they say establish ground rules so you know what your partner is into. Next, start slow by sending some words of appreciation.
Oh, is that, look at you.
Next, enjoy the tease. Think of sexting as a way to build up the sexual tension. And push boundaries. Consider sexting as a way to suggest something you haven't tried yet, but you might be interested in. And finally, be playful. Playful. So
I'm just laughing at The music that we had in the background.
It makes me want to like
What was that?
be playful. See, I mean, it goes with the music. So, Eric, so do you guys sext your partner? I mean, even like on a small level.
Well, you guys have both been like married for a considerable amount of time. So, I mean, like in long-term relationships, like, do you do that when you're married? I don't know.
Well, my mom and dad-in-law in Alberta are watching.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Baldwin.
Yeah, no, we are just good kids.
There, you keep it a PG. Keep it a PG. You know what? You shouldn't ask the married people. You should ask the non-married people, because that's when.
I think.
Although it's fun and games.
I think so. The thing I can say is, you know, when you first meet someone, you're like more like learning what the other person likes, aren't you? You're like trying all different things, whatever, till you find your groove or whatever it is, right? Yeah?
Yeah, right.
But then, like, I was with someone for 10 years, and that was, like, dead and buried and dusty. So maybe if I had have done the sex thing, maybe it would have not been dead and buried
No, it wouldn't
dusty.
have. Nah, girl, nah.
I just don't. I don't know. I listen. My parents are watching too. I don't mind. But me and my wife just don't do that. If she's like, I want to dress up like a clown and come home. I'd be like, who stole your phone? You know what I mean? Whatever she's into, I'd be like, someone stole your phone and sending me weird messages. I wouldn't think it's her.
Well, I think it's like we've all just been like locked up indoors as well for like over a year and stuff. Like, can you imagine like sexting? I can't even say the word sexting. Your partner like just sat next to you on the sofa and you've not left the house in like a year and you're both in your sweats. Like, it's not exactly very sexy.
I should say we don't have enough time. I was going to send Jordan a message like that and then see
what she said.
She'd be like, what are you talking about?
Oh,
I'm going to say it right now. Maybe we'll have it for the end of the show. We'll see. We'll be right back.
April of 2020, the federal government has provided over $850 billion of direct payments to taxpayers. But the families of some incarcerated people tell Verify their loved ones are struggling to claim their stimulus checks. So why are we talking about this? Well, according to the local law, in some counties across the country, prison facilities are unrealistic. So we can verify that yes, inmates. April of 2020, the federal government has provided over $850 billion of direct payments to
Welcome back to DBL. Homeowners insurance covers so much more than most people think. We're chatting about some of the most bizarre claims in today's Bang for Your Buck, presented by The Hartford. One family had a bat infestation in their attic. Yeah, although most policies don't protect against pests, the insurer covered the cost of rebuilding the attic, so they did.
Erica's face is so
I cannot look.
My mom and dad had bat infestation. In England, it's illegal.
Hold on, we gotta go. Second, one man woke up to his ex-girlfriend yelling down the chimney. Firefighters had to get her out. Luckily, his insurance covered the damage. Lastly, in Canada, a home was hit with blue ice that fell from an airplane. That's when there's a lavatory leak. And you could guess what happens next. Having the right insurance is so important, and we've made it easy for you. For quality and affordable insurance, the Buck's got your back. The Hartford will be happy to provide you solutions. Call the Hartford at 1-800-684-6085 or visit thehartford.com to learn more.
Killed it.
We got it in there.
Well done. Sorry, my bat story took over.
No, it's all right. And my wife didn't text me back. I text her something naughty, no response. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place.